Hey, today's review is on the movie Puss in Boots. So the plot of this movie is many years before Shrek 2. It shows Puss in Boots' origin story, and he is, of course, a cat who loves to go on adventures, and he wants to be a brave and heroic cat, and he has he decides to take down these two criminals, Jack and Jill, played by Amy Sedaris and Billy Bob Thornton, who get it because Jack and Jill, yeah. And they try to find the golden goose who lays a bunch of golden eggs, and they want to use the golden goose to its power to become rich and powerful. And Puss in Boots is joined by a cat named Kitty Softpaws, played by Salma Hayek, and Humpty Dumpty, played by Zach Galifianakis, who maybe be in cahoots with somebody. So they go on a big chase to stop Jack and Jill, and Puss in Boots has to clear his name, and because he's a feared outlaw, so he wants to try and become a hero. This movie really surprised me. When I didn't see this movie when it came out because at the time I was pretty phased out by Shrek. Well, okay, that's not a good way to put it. I wasn't phased out by Shrek. I didn't. I always loved Shrek. I mean, I guess as you probably all know, Shrek is my favorite animated movie ever, but this came out a year after the last movie, so I was kind of like, I'm really fumed out by Shrek. I don't need any more. I'm satisfied with it being finished. But I think this movie really works great because it still works as its own movie, aside from the fact that it has a Shrek character. Really, it has nothing to do with the franchise, and that's really what I think makes it work. It still makes for a pretty fun movie. Like, there's no callbacks, like there's no other Shrek characters in the movie. They don't mention anything from Shrek. It's just a brand new uh, story, and I really like that they did that. And yeah, it does kind of contradict Shrek too, because for those you don't remember in that part in the first in Shrek 2 where Puss in Boots first meets Shrek and he says that his mother is sick and his father and his brothers he has brothers and sisters and his father lives on the street. Like it's like but in this movie he's an orphan. I guess the writers of this movie didn't do their homework, or actually then again the whole point of this movie is Puss in Boots is kind of a he's kind of a con artist. Well, not really con artist, but he lies and he's very sneaky. So I guess in that case, it's pretty in character when you see this movie. And the other characters, yeah, for the new additions, I actually thought they're fun. Salma Hayek plays a cat named Kitty Softpaws, who's the sidekick to Puss in Boots, and they have a really fun, dynamic between each other because they're kind of rivals and they kind of get into argument and they bicker and they do really have good chemistry. I mean, Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, they're both very talented, and I think their voices work amazing for these characters. And I do really like them, and I think they really work great with each other. And Zach Galifianakis plays Humpty Dumpty, who's might be okay. None of you care about spoilers. Let's be real. Who cares about spoilers for Puss in Boots? He's the villain. Well, kinda. It in one part it shows that he was actually in cahoots with Jack and Jill the whole time, and yeah, it is kind of the twist villain cliche, which I really hate, but they kind of abandon it later because he gets a redemption arc in the third act, so that's kind of pointless, but whatever, I digress. The animation's really good. It's very colorful. There's lots of great fairy tale themes, and obviously, because Puss in Boots is Spanish, it kind of has like a Hispanic village setting in it, and it's look kind of sandy and sandy, kind of like looks like a desert, and like it looks really good. And even like some other things, like the beanstalk looks great. Or like when they go up and find the golden goose, and it's this giant little kind of looks like it's like a giant gosling, like it's yellow and has a big eye. It's like it has really good animation. Like visually, it looks really good, and it and like I said, like other than the fact that it stars Puss in Boots, you kind of forget it's a Shrek movie because like that's why this movie works because it's good enough to stand on its own. It wasn't just like a last minute attempt to cash in on the Shrek franchise, or maybe it was. I don't know, but it's a fun movie. It's more there's there's some good humor in it. Some of not all the jokes fall flat. Like there's a couple stupid jokes, but not a lot of butt and fart jokes. But like sometimes there's like a stupid pun here and there or a cat joke. There's a lot of cat jokes in this movie. So if you're a cat person, you're definitely gonna. This is the movie for you, let me say. And there's this one running joke where there's this cat who goes, "Oh," like it pops randomly throughout the movie, and like there's like a whole bunch of scenes where sometimes like this little cat, like he just comes up and he's like, "Oh," like it does this randomly throughout the movie, and it's really stupid, but I couldn't stop laughing. Like it's little stuff like that, and there's like a lot of good visual humor, obviously because it's a DreamWorks movie. Obviously, it's emphasized on the comedy more so than Disney films, and it, like I said, it does work great to stand on its own if you ignore the fact that it's a Shrek movie. I mean, I guess, like I said, his origin story does kind of contradict Shrek too, but if you can just ignore that and ignore the fact that it's a Shrek character, it doesn't really feel like an unnecessary addition to the franchise. So I really like it for that. So yeah, Puss in Boots, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a nice surprise, and I will see the sequel pretty soon. I will say I did like this enough to want to see the sequel, so I really hope that's good. So yeah, Puss in Boots, surprised to say, despite that I think the Shrek franchise should stay finished, it's a pretty entertaining movie. So, yeah, see you later. And, oh, and I probably won't be active tomorrow, so Merry Christmas to everybody. See ya.